The council chamber stretched wide across the space station, its walls made of crystal that showed the stars beyond. Ambassador Jiwoo Park walked slowly through the entrance, her black uniform simple and plain compared to the bright colors worn by the other species. She had walked this path many times before. Each time felt the same. The other ambassadors barely looked at her. Jiwoo took her seat in the back corner of the chamber. The human seat. It was always in the back, always in the corner. The other species sat in the center in tall chairs that made them look important. The Vorton Empire had the biggest chairs. Their representatives wore armor even here, in a place meant for peace. High Arbiter Vexthar stood at the center podium. His skin was blue and covered in scales that caught the light. He was tall, much taller than any human. When he spoke, everyone listened. His voice carried across the chamber without any device to make it louder. "We gather today to discuss territorial matters," Vexthar began. His eyes moved across the room but never stopped on Jiwoo. "The Vortan Empire has submitted a request for expansion into the neutral zones of Sector 7. Jiwoo felt her heart beat faster. Sector 7 bordered human space. 3 human colonies were near that sector. She had known this request would come. Director Hyun-Soo Kang had warned her 2 weeks ago. Earth intelligence had intercepted Vortan communications. They knew the Empire wanted that space. General Crixnell rose from his seat. He was massive, his body covered in thick armor plates that seemed to be part of his skin. 4 arms hung at his sides, each one strong enough to break stone. His face was hard, with small red eyes that looked at other species like they were insects. "The Vortan Empire requires this space for our growing population," Crixnell said. His voice was rough, like rocks grinding together. "The sector is empty. No one uses it. It would be put to better use under our control." Jiwoo raised her hand. The gesture felt small in this huge chamber. Vexthar looked at her and his expression showed surprise, not pleasant surprise. The kind of surprise someone feels when they step on something they did not see. "The human representative wishes to speak," Vexthar said. Several ambassadors made sounds. Some laughed quietly. Others whispered to each other. Jiwoo stood. She kept her face calm, her voice steady. "Sector 7 is not empty. 3 human colonies are within 20 light years of that space. The expansion would put Vortan military forces directly on our border. We object to this request." The chamber filled with more laughter. It was not kind laughter. Ambassador Zorvax, an old military leader from the krill species, shook his head. His 4 eyes blinked in sequence, something his species did when they found something amusing. "The humans object," Zorvax said loudly. "Tell me, Ambassador Park, how many warships does Earth possess? How many soldiers do you have to defend these colonies you care so much about?" Jiwoo did not answer immediately. She knew Earth's military strength was classified at the highest level. Only a few dozen people in the entire government knew the truth. She was one of them. But she could not tell this council. "Not yet. Earth's defensive capabilities are sufficient for our needs," she said carefully. Crixnell laughed. It was a harsh sound, like metal scraping metal. "Sufficient? Your species has been part of this council for 70 years. In that time, we have never seen a human warship. We have never heard of human military victories. You arrived in generation ships slow and weak. You have no advanced weapons. You have no tactical experience. And you dare to object to Vortan expansion?" The chamber erupted with voices. Most agreed with Crixnell. Jiwoo heard words like primitive and backward and irrelevant. She sat down slowly. Her earpiece buzzed with an encrypted signal. She touched it lightly. "This is Kang," said a voice only she could hear. Director Hyun-Soo Kang spoke from Earth, from the intelligence headquarters buried deep under the mountains. "I am watching the session. Do not engage further. Let them believe what they want to believe." Jiwoo tapped her earpiece twice. The signal meant she understood. She watched as the council voted. One by one, species raised their hands or made their signals. The vote was unanimous except for 2. Jiwoo voted against the expansion. Councillor Thylene, a gentle representative from the Luminar species, also voted against it. Thylene caught Jiwoo's eye from across the chamber. She was small, her skin glowing with soft light. Her people valued peace above all things. They had been kind to humans since first contact. Thylene nodded slightly, a gesture of sympathy. Vexthar announced the results. "The motion passes. The Vortan Empire is granted rights to expand into Sector 7. This session is concluded." As the ambassadors left the chamber, Crixnall walked past Jiwoo. He stopped and looked down at her. Up close, he was even larger. His shadow covered her completely. Your colonies should evacuate, he said quietly. Vorton ships will begin moving through that sector within the month. Any vessels we find will be considered hostile. We will not be gentle with obstacles. Jiwoo looked up at him. Her expression did not change. General Crixnall, my government will take your words under advisement. However, our colonies will remain where they are. They are our territory. We will defend them. Crixnall made a sound that might have been laughter. Defend them with what? Do not make me destroy your little colonies, Ambassador. It would be a waste of ammunition. He walked away. Jiwoo stood alone in the chamber for a moment. The stars beyond the crystal walls seemed cold and distant. She touched her earpiece again. Kang, did you hear that? Every word, the director replied. The general is making threats against our colonies. That changes things. I am going to recommend to the council that we begin preparations. The politicians will need to approve it, but after this I think they will. Jiwoo left the chamber and walked through the station corridors. Other species moved past her, talking in their various languages. None of them looked at her. To them, she was invisible. Earth was invisible. Humanity was just another weak species that would eventually fade away or be conquered. They did not know the truth. For 70 years, Earth had been building. Not generation ships. Not colony vessels, warships, hundreds of them. Hidden in asteroid fields, in the dark spaces between stars. In orbits around dead worlds where no one looked. Admiral Taewon Kim commanded a fleet that rivaled any in the galaxy. Captain Daeun Choi led fighter squadrons trained in tactics no alien species had ever seen. Lieutenant Bora Lee worked with computers that could calculate battle outcomes in seconds. But the galaxy did not need to know this. Not yet. Earth had learned patience. Earth had learned to watch and listen and wait. Director Kang had told her once that the best weapon was the one your enemy did not know you had. Jiwoo reached her small ship and climbed inside. The cockpit was simple, designed for one person. She started the engines and left the station. As she flew toward the jump gate that would take her back toward human space, she looked at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Vorton Empire was preparing to expand. Somewhere out there, General Crixnall was planning his moves. He thought humans were weak. He thought Earth could be pushed aside. He was wrong. And soon, very soon, he would learn just how wrong he was. Nova Terra had been a peaceful place for 20 years. 50,000 humans lived there, farming the rich soil and building homes under the purple sky. The colony had 3 small cities and dozens of villages spread across the main continent. Children played in the streets. Markets sold fresh food. People felt safe. That feeling ended at dawn on the 15th day of the 3rd month. Governor Dae-hyun Song was drinking his morning tea when the alarm started. At first he thought it was a drill. The colony ran drills every few months to keep people prepared. But this alarm sounded different. It was faster, more urgent. His communicator buzzed on the table. Governor, this is Defense Control. We have multiple unknown vessels entering orbit. They are not responding to hails. They are not transmitting identification codes. The voice belonged to Commander Yoon Ji-han, head of the colony's small defense team. Dae-hyun ran to the operations center. The building was small but filled with screens and computers. Yoon-ji stood at the main display, her face pale. On the screen, 30 warships appeared in red markers above the planet. What species? Dae-hyun asked. Vorton, Yoon-ji said quietly. The ship's signatures match Vorton Imperial Fleet. Governor, we need to evacuate. We have maybe an hour before they reach firing range. Dae-hyun felt cold. The colony had no warships. They had 6 small patrol boats meant for asteroid mining and rescue operations. Against 30 Vorton warships, those boats would last seconds. The colony had defensive shields, but they were designed to stop meteors and radiation, not military weapons. Send an emergency signal to Earth, Dae-hyun ordered. Tell them we are under attack. Get everyone into the shelters. Start the evacuation ships, get the children on first. The colony had 12 evacuation ships. Each could carry 3,000 people. But loading would take hours. And they did not have hours. The Vorton ships moved into position. They formed a ring around the planet. Then a message came through on all frequencies. General Crixnall's face appeared on every screen in the colony. Human colonists of Nova Terra, Crixnall said. His voice was calm, almost friendly. This planet now belongs to the Vorton Empire. You have 1 hour to surrender completely. Gather in your cities. Do not attempt to flee. Any ships that launch will be destroyed. Any resistance will be met with immediate force. You are primitives. We are an empire. Accept your fate, the message ended. Daehyun looked at Yoonji. They both knew what would happen. The Vortons would not accept surrender. They wanted the planet. The humans living on it were inconvenient. The Empire would remove that inconvenience. Keep evacuating, Daehyun said. Get as many people away as possible. I don't care what Crixnell said. Launch the ships. 3 evacuation ships lifted off from the main spaceport. They got 200 kilometers up. Then the Vortan ships fired. Bright beams of energy cut through the sky. The evacuation ships exploded. Pieces rained down on the colony below. 9,000 people died in seconds. The bombardment began 5 minutes later. Vortan weapons hit the shield generators first. The colony's shields flickered and died. Then the warships targeted the cities. Buildings exploded. Streets cracked and melted. Fire spread through neighborhoods. The purple sky turned black with smoke. Daehyun watched it all from the operations center. People screamed on the communicators. Parents called for their children. Emergency teams tried to reach the wounded but could not get through the fire. The center shook as a blast hit nearby. Dust fell from the ceiling. Did the message reach Earth? He asked. Yoonji nodded. Yes, it went through the emergency relay. Earth received it 12 minutes ago. 12 minutes. It would take weeks for any help to arrive. Nova Terra would be dead long before then. On the other side of the galaxy, Ambassador Jiwoo Park was in her quarters when the alert came. She read the message 3 times, not believing what she saw. Then she ran. The Galactic Council did not schedule emergency sessions easily. It took her 4 hours to gather enough ambassadors to force one. High Arbiter Vexthar looked annoyed when he took his position at the center podium. Ambassador Park has requested this emergency session, Vexthar said. What is the nature of this emergency? Jiwoo stood. Her hands shook, but her voice did not. The Vortan Empire has attacked the human colony of Nova Terra. They are conducting a full military assault on 50,000 civilians. This is a violation of council law. We demand immediate intervention. The chamber filled with murmurs. General Crixnell was not present. His second officer, Commander Thalrak, stood instead. The commander smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. Nova Terra is in Sector 7, Thalrak said. The council granted the Vortan Empire expansion rights in that sector. The colony is in our territory now. What we do there is our business. The colony was established before your expansion, Jiwoo said. Her voice got louder. Council law protects existing settlements. You cannot simply attack civilians. Vexthar raised one hand. Ambassador Park, please calm yourself. Commander Thalrak, can you explain the Vortan position? The colony was warned to evacuate, Thalrak said. They refused. They even attempted to launch ships in a threatening manner. We defended ourselves. If the humans had simply left as instructed, no one would have been harmed. Jiwoo wanted to scream. She wanted to reach across the chamber and tear the smile off Thalrak's face. But she stood still. She breathed slowly. In her earpiece, Director Kang spoke quietly. Control yourself, Ambassador. Remember the plan. Let them show the galaxy what they truly are. High Arbiter, Jiwoo said. I am formally requesting council intervention. Send peacekeeping forces to Nova Terra immediately. Stop this attack. Vexthar looked uncomfortable. He glanced at the other ambassadors. Most looked away. No one wanted to challenge the Vortan Empire. The Empire had the largest fleet in the galaxy. They had destroyed species before. No one wanted to be next. The situation is complex, Vexthar said slowly. We must consider all legal aspects. The council will need to debate jurisdiction, review the expansion agreement, consult with our legal advisors. This will take time. How much time? Jiwoo asked. Hours, days? How long will you debate while people die? Weeks, perhaps, Vexthar said. These matters must be handled properly. Ambassador Park, I understand your frustration, but surely the logical choice is for your remaining colonists to evacuate. The Vortan Empire would allow safe passage if the colony surrendered peacefully. Jiwoo looked around the chamber. She saw fear in some faces, indifference in others, amusement in a few. Councillor Thylene looked sad, but the Luminar had no military force. They could not help. I see, Jiwoo said quietly. Her voice was cold now, like ice. The council will not act. You will debate and delay while people die. You will let the Vortan Empire murder civilians because you are afraid. Because humanity is weak and does not matter. Ambassador, that is not fair, Vexthar began. It is perfectly fair, Jiwoo said. But it does not matter. Earth will handle this ourselves. We do not need the council. We do not need your help. We will protect our people our own way. She turned and walked out of the chamber. Behind her, she heard whispers and laughter. Let them laugh. Let them think Earth was making empty threats. Let them believe humanity was weak and foolish. In her earpiece, Director Kang spoke. The authorization just came through. Admiral Kim is moving the fleet into position. We go in 72 hours. Jiwoo stopped in the corridor. Will there be anyone left to save in 72 hours? The underground shelters are holding. Most of the population made it to safety. The Vortans are bombarding the surface cities, but they have not found the shelter network yet. We have time. And Ambassador, when we arrive, the Vortans will regret ever hearing the name Nova Terra. Jiwoo looked back at the council chamber. Soon everyone in that room would learn the truth. Soon the galaxy would see what humanity really was. And Jiwoo found herself almost feeling sorry for the Vortan Empire. Almost, but not quite. The asteroid field near Jupiter had been empty for decades. No mining operations came here anymore. The rocks were too small, too scattered, not worth the fuel cost. It looked like just another dead zone in space, but appearances could be deceiving. Admiral Taewon Kim stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, watching as the largest military force humanity had ever assembled came to life. 300 warships emerged from hiding. They had been there all along, their surfaces coated with materials that bent light and radar around them. To sensors, they looked like asteroids. To the eye, they looked like empty space. Now they revealed themselves. The Indomitable was massive, 5 kilometers long and bristling with weapons. It made the old generation ships look like toys. Around it, destroyers and cruisers took formation. Fighter carriers opened their bays. Smaller ships moved into escort positions. Taewon was 60 years old. He had spent 40 of those years in Earth's secret military program. He had watched humanity build this fleet piece by piece, ship by ship. Every vessel had been constructed in hidden facilities. Every weapon had been tested in places where no sensors could see. Every crew member had trained under absolute secrecy. All ships reporting ready, Admiral, said Lieutenant Bo-Ra Lee. She was young, only 28, but her mind worked faster than any computer. She could calculate battle formations in her head, predict enemy movements before they happened. Taewon had personally recruited her from the academy. Very good, Taewon said. He touched a control panel. His face appeared on screens throughout the fleet. 300 ships, 90,000 crew members. All of them waited for his words. This is Admiral Kim. For 70 years, Earth has hidden our strength. We have been underestimated, mocked, dismissed as primitive. The galaxy has believed us weak. Today, we show them the truth. Today, we show them what humanity has built while they were not watching. He paused. In his mind, he saw the reports from Nova Terra. 50,000 civilians under attack. Cities burning, children hiding in underground shelters while Vortan ships bombed the surface. The Vortan Empire attacked our people. They believed we could not respond. They believed we would accept their violence. They were wrong. We are going to Nova Terra. We are going to save our people, and we are going to teach the Vortans a lesson they will never forget. All ships, prepare for jump. The fleet moved as one. Jump drives powered up, creating distortions in space that looked like stars being born. Then, in flashes of light that lit up the darkness, 300 warships vanished. Across the galaxy, sensors detected the jump signatures. On the council station, alarms started ringing. Admiral Zorvax was in his office when his aide rushed in, her 4 eyes wide with shock. Sir, our deep space network just detected massive jump signatures near Sol system. Multiple ships. Very large ships, Zorvax frowned. How many ships? The aide checked her tablet. Initial count shows 297 distinct signatures, sir. But that cannot be right. Sol system is human territory. The humans do not have that many ships. Run the scan again, Zorvax ordered. The aide worked quickly. Then she looked up, her face even paler. 300 ships, sir. The computer confirms it. 300 human warships just jumped from Sol system. Their trajectory is toward Sector 7, toward Nova Terra. Zorvax stood up so fast his chair fell over. 300? That is impossible. Where did they come from? We have monitored human space for decades. We have never seen more than their patrol boats. Sir, the computer is analyzing the signatures. These are not patrol boats. The largest signature matches a vessel approximately 5 kilometers in length. That would make it larger than any warship in the galaxy except for the Vortan Empire's flagship. Zorvax felt something he had not felt in many years. Fear. He had been a military commander for 3 decades. He had fought in 12 wars. He thought he knew every military force in the galaxy. Apparently, he had been very wrong. Get me High Arbiter Vexthar. Now. On Earth, Captain Da-Yun Choi sat in the cockpit of her fighter. The Ghost Squadron was ready. 24 of the best pilots humanity had ever produced. Their fighters were small, fast, and armed with weapons that could cut through any known shield technology. Da-Yun was 32. She had been flying since she was 16. She knew every trick, every maneuver, every way to make a fighter do things it was not supposed to do. Her squadron trusted her completely. They would follow her into any battle. Ghost Leader, this is Indomitable. Lieutenant Borali's voice came through the comm. We are approaching Nova Terra. Prepare for combat launch. Copy that, Indomitable, Da-Yun replied. Ghost Squadron is ready. We will clear the path. She checked her instruments. Her fighter was perfect. Every system showed green. Behind her in the carrier bay, her squadron waited. She could hear them breathing through the comm, calm and focused. They had trained for this moment. They were ready. The fleet dropped out of jump space at the edge of the Nova Terra system. Immediately, the Vortan ships detected them. On the Vortan flagship, General Crixnell was sleeping when the alarms woke him. He stumbled to the bridge, still half asleep. Report, he growled. His tactical officer pointed at the main screen. Sir, multiple ships just entered the system. Very large formation. They are approaching our position. Crixnell looked at the screen. He saw the markers representing incoming ships. He counted quickly. His expression changed from annoyance to confusion to disbelief. 300 ships, he said. What species? Is it the Krill? The Luminar? The tactical officer checked his console. His hands started shaking. Sir, the signatures match human design. These are human ships, Crixnell laughed. It was not a happy laugh. Impossible. The humans have no fleet. This must be an error. Run a diagnostic on the sensors. Sir, the sensors are functioning correctly. Visual confirmation coming in now. The main screen changed. It showed space near Nova Terra. And filling that space like a swarm of metal insects were warships. Hundreds of them. They moved in perfect formation, their hulls dark and angular. At the center was a vessel so large it seemed impossible. The indomitable Crixnell stared. His mind could not accept what he saw. The humans were primitive. They had arrived in generation ships. They had no military. They had no power. Everyone knew this. The entire galaxy knew this, but the ships on the screen were real. They were here, and they were moving toward his fleet with clear hostile intent. All ships to battle stations, Crixnell ordered. His voice was not as confident as before. Prepare defensive formations. Contact the Empire. Request reinforcements immediately. On the bridge of the Indomitable, Admiral Taewan watched the Vortan ships scramble. He had seen their tactics before. Earth intelligence had studied every Vortan battle for decades. He knew exactly what they would do. Lieutenant Lee, what is their formation? He asked. Bora studied her screens. Standard Vortan defensive shell, sir. Heavy ships forward. Light cruisers in support, command ships in the center. They are preparing to engage at medium range. Taewan smiled. It was not a kind smile. They think we will fight like other species. They think we will charge forward and trade shots until one side breaks. They do not understand human tactics yet. Launch Ghost Squadron. Tell Captain Choi to eliminate their command network. Yes, sir. Da-Yun felt the launch catapult grab her fighter. 1 second she was in the carrier bay. The next second she was in open space, moving at incredible speed. Around her, 23 other fighters launched in perfect sequence. Ghost Squadron, form up on me, she said. We are going for the command ships. Stay tight, stay fast, and remember your training. These Vortans hurt our people. Let us show them what that mistake costs. The squadron moved as one unit. Their fighters were painted black, almost invisible against space. Their engines left no visible exhaust. To the Vortan sensors, they would look like small debris until it was too late. On the council station, High Arbiter Vexthar stood in the command center, watching the sensor feeds. Around him, ambassadors from every species crowded in. Everyone wanted to see what was happening at Nova Terra. The human fleet is real. Admiral Zorvac said quietly. He sounded like he could not believe his own words. 300 warships. Where did they come from? How did we not know? Ambassador Jiwoo Park stood to one side, her expression calm. Inside, she felt satisfaction. The galaxy was about to learn a lesson. The lesson was simple. Never underestimate humanity. Never assume silence means weakness. Never attack Earth's people and expect no response. Ambassador Park, Vexthar said. His voice shook slightly. Can you explain this? Where did this fleet come from? Jiwoo looked at him. You assumed we were weak because we did not show our strength. You assumed we were primitive because we did not boast about our capabilities. You were wrong, High Arbiter. Earth has been preparing for this day since we joined the Council. We hoped we would never need to reveal our power. The Vortan Empire forced our hand. Counselor Thylene stepped forward, her face glowing with concern. Ambassador Park, what will happen now? Will there be war? That depends on General Crixenal, Jiwoo said. If he surrenders immediately and withdraws from Nova Terra, Earth will accept. If he chooses to fight, then the Vortan Empire will learn why humanity spent 70 years building a fleet in secret. The Emergency Council session began 3 days after the Battle of Nova Terra. Every species sent their representatives. The chamber was more crowded than it had been in decades. Everyone wanted to see what would happen next. Ambassador Jiwoo Park walked to her seat. It was not in the back corner anymore. Overnight, station workers had moved it to the center circle, next to the seats reserved for the major powers. No one had asked permission. No one had announced it. The change simply happened, as natural as gravity. The other ambassadors watched her as she passed. Some faces showed respect. Some showed fear. A few showed anger. But no one laughed. No one whispered. The dismissive attitudes had vanished like smoke. High Arbiter Vexthar stood at the center podium. He looked older than he had a week ago. The scales on his face seemed duller. When he spoke, his voice lacked its usual confidence. We gather today in extraordinary circumstances, Vexthar began. Recent events have forced the Council to confront uncomfortable truths. The attack on Nova Terra violated Council law. The subsequent battle revealed capabilities we did not know existed. We must now address these matters openly and honestly. General Crixenal sat in the Vortan section. His armor was clean, but his posture showed defeat. He did not look at anyone. He simply waited for judgment. General Crixenal, Vexthar said, you are called to testify. Explain your actions at Nova Terra. Crixenal stood slowly. High Arbiter, I attacked the human colony believing it was an acceptable military action. The Council had granted expansion rights to Sector 7. I assumed any human presence there could be removed. I was following standard Imperial protocol. Standard protocol, Vexthar repeated, which includes attacking civilians? Crixenal's jaw tightened. The Vortan Empire has always dealt with obstacles efficiently. Civilian colonies in our expansion zones have been cleared before. No one ever objected strongly enough to matter. The chamber erupted in voices. Some ambassadors shouted denials. Others nodded slowly, acknowledging an uncomfortable truth. The Council had known about Vortan aggression for years. They had simply chosen not to act because the victims were always weak species. Species without power. Species like humanity used to be. Vexthar raised his hand for silence. The Council will address these historical issues separately. For now, we focus on Nova Terra. Ambassador Park, Earth has demonstrated military capabilities far beyond what we understood. Will you explain how this happened? Jiwoo stood. Every eye in the chamber turned to her. She felt the weight of attention, but her voice remained steady. When humanity joined this council 70 years ago, we were weak. Our ships were slow. Our weapons were basic. We knew this. Everyone knew this. But we also knew something else. We knew that being weak was temporary. Being unprepared was a choice. She paused, looking around the chamber. So we prepared. We built shipyards in hidden locations. We developed weapons in secret facilities. We trained crews without announcing our activities. We watched the galaxy. We learned from every species. We studied your tactics, your technologies, your strengths and weaknesses, and we waited. You lied to us, Ambassador Zorvac said. His 4 eyes blinked rapidly. You pretended to be weak while building a fleet. We did not lie, Jiwoo replied calmly. We simply did not share information you never asked for. Tell me, Ambassador Zorvac, does your species share all of its military capabilities with the Council? Does anyone here display their full strength openly? Zorvax had no answer. Because the truth was simple. Every species kept secrets. Every species had hidden capabilities. Earth had simply been better at hiding than most. Director Hyun-Soo Kang had sent Jiwoo a data package the night before. She activated it now, sharing it to every screen in the chamber. The data showed surveillance records, communications intercepts, evidence that Earth's intelligence network had been watching the galaxy for decades. For 70 years, Earth has been protecting smaller species in secret, Jiwoo said. We stopped 3 pirate raids on Luminar trade routes. We shared technology with the Verdani when disease threatened their population. We provided intelligence that prevented 2 wars in the outer sectors. We did this quietly because we did not seek glory. We did it because it was right. Counselor Thylene stood, her glowing face bright with emotion. Is this true? Earth helped my people. Yes, Jiwoo said. The medical supplies that arrived anonymously 5 years ago came from Earth. The security ships that drove away raiders from your merchant fleet were human vessels operating under false identification. We helped because the Council would not, because species like yours deserved protection but received none. Thylene looked at Vexthar. The Council knew about the raids on our trade routes. I filed complaints. You said you would investigate, but nothing happened. And all this time the humans were protecting us? Vexthar had no answer that would sound good. The truth was that the Council protected powerful species and ignored weak ones. Everyone in the chamber knew it. They had just never said it out loud. Ambassador Park? Vexthar said slowly. What does Earth want now? You have revealed your power. You have defeated a major military force. What are your intentions toward the Council? Jiwoo took a breath. This was the moment that mattered. This would define Earth's relationship with the galaxy going forward. Earth wants the same thing we have always wanted. Peace, security, fair treatment for all species, strong and weak alike. We did not reveal our fleet because we desire conquest. We revealed it because we were forced to protect our people. But now that the galaxy knows our strength, we will not hide it again. She looked directly at Vexthar. Earth proposes a new defense initiative. We will share our military technology with allied species. We will establish a joint defense force to protect all Council members from aggression. We will work to make the Council what it should be, a place where all species are respected, not just the strong ones. The chamber filled with voices. Some ambassadors loved the idea. Others feared it. But no one could ignore it. Earth was offering to share the very weapons that had destroyed the Vortan fleet. The proposal would change everything. Admiral Taewon Kim appeared on the screens via remote transmission. His flagship still orbited Nova Terra, overseeing the relief efforts. The human fleet will remain operational, he said. We will patrol Council space. We will respond to threats against any member species. We will not allow what happened at Nova Terra to happen anywhere else. This is Earth's commitment to the Council. Vexthar looked around the chamber, gauging reactions. Finally, he nodded. The Council will debate this proposal. But first, we must address the immediate situation. General Crixnell, you attacked a Council member without authorization. You violated fundamental laws. What should be your punishment? Before anyone could answer, Jiwoo spoke. Earth does not seek General Crixnell's punishment. He has surrendered. He has provided testimony. He has agreed to reparations. That is sufficient. We want accountability, not revenge. Crixnell looked at Jiwoo with surprise. He had expected demands for his execution or imprisonment. Instead, the humans offered mercy. It was not the mercy of weakness. It was the mercy of strength. The kind that came from confidence. However, Jiwoo continued, the Vortan Empire must understand the consequences of their actions. They will pay reparations to Nova Terra. They will reduce their military to defensive levels only. They will not expand into neutral space without Council approval, and they will publicly acknowledge their crime. These terms are not negotiable. The Vortan ambassador, a diplomat who had replaced Crixnell's military authority, stood slowly. The Vortan Empire accepts these terms. We recognize that we made a grave error. We attacked without justification. We assumed Earth was weak and we were wrong. We will abide by all conditions. Vexthar looked relieved. The crisis had a resolution. Then it is decided. The Vortan Empire will comply with Earth's terms. The Council will debate the Defense Initiative proposal, and we will review our laws to prevent such incidents in the future. He paused, then looked directly at Jiwoo. Ambassador Park, on behalf of the Galactic Council, I apologize. We dismissed your concerns. We did not take your objections seriously. We assumed you were weak when you were actually strong. This was our failure, not yours. Earth deserves better from this council. Jiwoo nodded slowly, accepting the apology. It did not erase the decades of dismissal. It did not bring back the people who died at Nova Terra. But it was a start. A recognition that things had to change. The session ended. Ambassadors filed out of the chamber slowly, talking in small groups. Many approached Jiwoo, requesting private meetings, asking about alliances, seeking Earth's favor. She accepted the meetings but kept her expression neutral. Earth would choose its friends carefully. Counselor Thylene was the last to approach. She bowed in the Luminar tradition, a gesture of deep respect. Thank you, Ambassador Park, for helping my people when the council would not. For showing mercy today when you could have demanded blood. The Luminar will stand with Earth always. Thank you, Counselor, Jiwoo said. Earth values friends who stand by their principles. That night, Jiwoo stood at the observation window in her quarters, looking at the stars. She thought about the past 70 years, about the mockery and dismissal, about the patience Earth had shown. Captain Daeun Choi pushed her fighter to maximum speed. The cockpit displays showed the Vortan fleet ahead, still organizing their defensive formation. They had not detected Ghost Squadron yet. The stealth coding worked perfectly. Ghost 2, this is Ghost Leader, Daeun said. I have target lock on the command ship. Everyone pick your targets. Fire on my mark. 23 confirmations came back instantly. Her squadron was ready. They had practiced this exact scenario 1,000 times. But practice was different from reality. This time, if they failed, people would die. Daeun did not plan to fail. 3, 2, 1 mark. 24 fighters fired as one. Their weapons were new technology, something Earth had developed in secret. Beam weapons that did not scatter over distance, that could punch through any known shield. The Vortans called their shields impenetrable. They had never faced human weapons before. General Crixnell saw the alerts on his screen 1 second before the impacts. Incoming fire! Shields to maximum. The shields activated. For half a second they held. Then the human weapons cut through them like they were not there at all. 24 beams struck 24 different Vortan ships. Command vessels. Communication ships. Tactical coordinators. Every ship that helped the fleet work together. Explosions lit up space. The Vortan command network died in seconds. Ships that had been moving in formation suddenly lost coordination. They drifted, their captains trying to figure out what happened. Trying to get new orders, trying to understand how small fighters had destroyed their most protected vessels. Ghost Squadron. Break and attack, Daeun ordered. Free engagement. Make them panic, the squadron split apart. Each fighter became its own weapon, darting between the larger Vortan ships, firing at engines and weapon systems. The Vortans tried to track them, but the human fighters were too fast, too agile. They moved in ways that should have torn the pilots apart from the force, but somehow the humans managed it. On the Indomitable, Admiral Tae-Wan watched the tactical display with satisfaction. The Vortan formation was breaking apart exactly as he predicted. Lieutenant Lee, begin the main assault. All ships forward. Target their heavy cruisers first. Bora's fingers moved across her console with incredible speed. Targeting solutions uploaded to all ships. Firing sequences synchronized. All vessels report ready. Fire. 300 warships opened fire. The weapons were different types, different designs, but all shared one thing. They were devastatingly effective. Missiles that could track their targets through any evasive maneuver. Energy beams that stayed focused across millions of kilometers. Railguns that fired projectiles at a fraction of light speed. The Vortan fleet had never experienced anything like it. Their shields, which had protected them in countless battles, failed against human weapons. Their armor, thick and strong, cracked and melted. Their ships, built to dominate any battle, exploded one after another. General Crixnell watched his fleet die around him. In 30 years of military service, he had never lost a battle. He had conquered 12 species. He had destroyed fleets twice the size of the force at Nova Terra. But he had never fought humans before. Real humans. Not the weak primitives he thought they were. Return fire. He screamed. All ships return fire! Destroy them! The surviving Vortan ships tried to fight back. Their weapons fired, beams and missiles crossing space toward the human fleet. Some hit, some struck shields and exploded harmlessly. Some even penetrated and damaged human ships. But for every human ship that took damage, 5 Vortan ships died. The exchange rate was completely one-sided. Human shields were stronger. Human armor was tougher. Human weapons were more accurate and more powerful. Every advantage the Vortans thought they had was an illusion. Daun rolled her fighter to avoid incoming fire. A Vortan destroyer had finally managed to track her. Defensive turrets spat energy bolts in her direction. She twisted through the pattern, her hands moving on the controls without conscious thought. Years of training took over. She danced through the weapons fire like it was standing still. "Go 7, I need help here," one of her pilots called. "Multiple bogeys on my tail." "Copy, Ghost 7 coming around." Daun pulled hard, her fighter spinning in a direction that made the physics of space seem optional. She came up behind 3 Vortan fighters that were chasing her squadron mate. 3 quick shots. 3 explosions. Clear. Stay focused. The battle raged for 2 hours. To the observers on the council station, it looked like chaos. Ships moving in patterns they did not understand. Explosions. Energy beams crossing space in every direction. But to Admiral Taiwan, it was a beautiful dance. Every ship moved according to his plan. Every shot was calculated by Lieutenant Bora's tactical computers. Every maneuver had been practiced and perfected. Humanity had spent 70 years preparing for this moment. They had studied every battle in galactic history. They had analyzed every species' tactics. They had built weapons specifically designed to counter the technologies used by the major powers. And now, all that preparation paid off. On the council station, the observers watched in stunned silence. High Arbiter Vexthar stood frozen, unable to process what he saw. The Vortan fleet, one of the most powerful military forces in the galaxy, was being systematically destroyed. Not in a desperate battle of equals, not in a close fight that could go either way, but in a one-sided demonstration of complete superiority. "This is not possible," Admiral Zorvax whispered. "The humans have been members of the Council for 70 years. We have monitored their space. We have watched their worlds. Where did they build this fleet? Where did they develop these weapons? How did we not see this?" Ambassador Jiwoo Park heard the question. She did not answer. The answer was simple, but the species in this council would not want to hear it. They had not seen because they had not looked. They had assumed humanity was weak and had never questioned that assumption. They had believed their own propaganda about primitive newcomers, and that belief had blinded them to the truth. General Crixnall's flagship shook from another impact. His shields were failing. Half his weapons were offline. Of the 30 ships he had brought to Nova Terra, only 6 still functioned. And those 6 were damaged, barely able to fight. His tactical officer looked at him with wide eyes. "Sir, we need to retreat. We need to call for help. We cannot win this battle," Crixnall wanted to argue. He wanted to order his ships to fight to the last. He wanted to show these humans that the Vortan Empire did not surrender. But he looked at his screens. He looked at the human fleet, barely damaged, still fighting at full strength. He looked at his own ships dying one by one. Pride would not save his crews. Pride would not bring back the ships already lost. Pride was a luxury he could no longer afford. "Open a channel to the human flagship," he said quietly. On the Indomitable, Admiral Taiwan received the transmission request. He nodded to Bora. "Let him through." Crixnall's face appeared on the screen. The proud general looked broken. His armor was cracked. Smoke drifted behind him. Blood ran from a cut on his head. "Human commander," Crixnall said. His voice was rough. "I am General Crixnall of the Vortan Imperial Fleet. I request terms of surrender." Taiwan looked at the general for a long moment. He thought about the burning cities on Nova Terra. He thought about the civilians who had died. He thought about the evacuation ships that had been destroyed. Then he spoke. "General Crixnall, you attacked our colony. You killed our people. You ignored the council. You believed we were too weak to respond. You were wrong about all of it." "Yes," Crixnall said. "I was wrong. We were all wrong about humanity. Please, my ships are dying. My crews do not deserve to die for my mistakes. I surrender." "What are your terms?" Taiwan nodded slowly. "Your surviving ships will power down all weapons immediately. You will retreat from Nova Terra system and will not return. You will provide full data on your attack, including orders and authorizations. You will personally testify before the Galactic Council about this incident, and the Vortan Empire will pay reparations to Nova Terra for the damage caused. Do you accept these terms? I accept, Crixinal said without hesitation. Then power down your weapons. This battle is over, the transmission ended. Around the battlefield, the remaining Vortan ships went dark. Their weapons powered down. Their engines reduced to minimal thrust. They were defeated. Completely and utterly defeated. In the council chamber, no one spoke. No one moved. They had all seen it. The Vortan Empire, one of the greatest military powers in the galaxy, had been broken in 2 hours by a species they had called primitive, by a species they had mocked and dismissed, and every ambassador in that chamber understood. The galaxy had changed. Earth was no longer weak. Earth was no longer irrelevant. Earth was a force that demanded respect, and no one would ever make the mistake of underestimating humanity again.